Hey, Dreaming of Diamond. This is the kickoff to our very first 4-week basic training, social selling basic training. And I am so excited for these leaders who have joined me in our kickoff, our maiden voyage, and I cannot wait. So without further ado, I'm just going to kind of get started with the content. As I said, definitely grab a pen and paper. That's going to be something that you're going to want because I feel like, this will be applicable down the road. Can you guys see my connection or do I need to move? Is my connection bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's bad. Okay. I'm going to move because we're just going to do that before I get started. I'm so glad this is on the recorded version. Aren't you guys? Don't you know that I'm just thrilled that this is happening right now? Okay. So we're human beings and that's a really good thing. Is this better? A little bit better? Okay. If at any point it's not, then hopefully it will record me and then we can play it back. So some of you are brand new to me. And so I want to give this disclaimer. Okay. I am extremely passionate. I am direct. Everything that is coming from me is to grow you. It comes from a place of deep love, full acceptance of everything that could be happening with you, any challenges you're having. Always know that this is coming from a place of wanting you to hit your goals. That's where my love spews from, is you hitting the goals that you want to hit. So without further ado, we're going to get started. So the disclaimer is that I am not your boss. Absolutely not. We know this, right? I am not your boss. You are your own boss with this. Okay. And for some of you, you shared with me, like, I'm not very good at bossing myself. Or you think, I boss myself too hard. I'm not really that nice to myself. Or you're just not showing up the way that you want to. So here's what I want to tell you is it is clean slate town, right? We are starting brand new. Anything that has happened in the past, all it is a memory. It is not applicable to where you're going. Okay, so I want to be very clear that this is something that is super exciting because we can together just catapult into these amazing new behaviors. And so when I give you homework, this is for your highest good. Okay, this is so that you can apply these things. The homework that I'm going to be giving you, I feel like is light enough to feel doable. It may challenge you, but let it challenge you because you're on this screen because you want something more. Literally everyone that is on this screen has said, I'm feeling like I want more. So this is where the rubber is going to hit the road, where you're going to get to show up when it kind of feels hard and it kind of might start to, you feel a little tingly, you get a little hot on your skin. You're like, oh, like this is feeling weird. But my goal is for us to walk through this content and you to understand why I'm asking you to do what I'm doing. So this is our first week. We're going to be discussing posting and prospecting. Okay. So you might have noticed that you, kind of in your business, you might be saying, like, let's get this person to post, or you're posting yourself and you feel like really excited about that. So posting and prospecting in general is the foundation, okay, of why most people are attracted to this model. Okay. So this model is an opportunity to advertise what you offer from your phone, okay, or device, while not taking away from your children, your home, your spouse, your other priorities. Okay, so this is super attractive to a lot of people. Maybe this has been attractive to you. So in this economy, especially, scaling your financials with a second stream of income is the key to like maintaining that lifestyle at this point, right? Like everybody feels like they need a little bit more. So if you're sitting here nodding your head and you're like, yes, oh my gosh, like I need more, you get to offer this too. And we're going to work on that. Okay. So you're not the only one that can be helped by this. And most of you feel like you started doing this to help other people. So this is a really nice kind of, juxtaposition of how the wants and the needs intersect. So social media specifically is an aspect of this business It's something that many will naturally excel at, okay? You might have been doing it prior to Plexus. This is easy for you. You're like, I'm already posting these recipes. I'm already like putting these memes up, like you're already doing it. But others may struggle, and you may, if it's not you that struggles, you may run across someone who feels like they're not naturally equipped at this, okay? Maybe they don't have the necessary footprint, or they have no following, all these things that we kind of hear sometimes that we maybe even deem excuses. These can be realities for some people. So your social media is actually just one piece of the way that you can prospect with a social selling business. So today we're going to cover all things network related. All right. So that's why I asked you to grab a pen and a paper, and we'll have action items to incorporate these things right away to move this process forward. So within this 4-week period, I like to see, positive results quickly. I like people to feel like this is going to add value. So as I ask you questions before and after, I want you to be brutally honest so that I can help you scale quickly. All right. So prospecting is a non-negotiable, you guys. It's non-negotiable in this business, and you cannot just rely on posting. So if you're someone that sits there and has said, I'm posting and no one's answering, this is really directed to that mindset that posting is enough. Posting is, if you looked at a metaphor of what posting is a billboard, right? But not everybody drives down that specific road every day to see the billboard. So you have to also use other methods. All right. If you want this to be a stable income source for yourself, which you do, that is why we must choose to work several angles. So gone are the days that we can just show up, throw up a post, and then fly to the top of the company. I don't even know anybody that would even admit or think that that was a reality for them. Okay, this is work. This is something that, you are growing and flexing new muscles all the time. So social selling, here's why. You might have heard stories. Like if you've ever heard a Plexus story, like, oh, 6 months, like, okay, that is amazing. Okay, here's what's different about our landscape as a society versus that time. Okay, so Plexus has been around for more than 10 years. Okay, as you know, you look back in the last 10 years, you've evolved a ton. This industry has evolved a ton. So social selling is becoming well accepted. I don't know if you've noticed that there are people that are actual influencers and they're doing Walmart fashion, or they're an Amazon influencer. So this is more of a regular. That means that people have more options. They're considering this as something that has more teeth to it. And while we fought that fight for a long time of like, this is a real business, like, look, like, take us seriously. Now they're taking us seriously, and it's like, we got to up our ante. Okay. So we don't have to fight some of the same fights that we fought before, but now, and guys, like this used to be more highly judged. You may have pockets of your network that still judge this, but that I'm telling you, that is a minority type of thought. Okay. This type of selling is everywhere. Influencers and affiliate links and referral marketing, it's literally very widespread. I mean, companies are, here's our QR code, go in and do a review, things like that. This is very normalized at this point. So our job gets a little bit trickier, where we have to put, more thought and ingenuity and authentic spin to what we're doing. And we're going to figure that out today. So don't worry about a thing. Because they have more options, we have to show up in a super authentic way, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. So here are the ways that you're going to prospect. I feel like there are 4 ways that you're prospecting. Okay, the first is our social media platforms. We really covered that. Obviously, that is, again, that most normalized piece of this. We're like, just get her to post, just, let's have her throw up her first post. And it really does work, especially when people are kind of brand new in their network talking about this. The next is a word of mouth or an in-person conversation. Okay. The third is reaching out to these current contacts that you have, people that you already know, phone numbers that you have in your phone, emails, if you're an email person, that kind of a thing. Okay. And then networking groups. This might be less common if you've never held kind of a position that would require you to network in your community. But if you are in sales, if you're any kind of outreach or, even, social work, a lot of corporate jobs that are PR groups, they're going to have that type of thing. So maybe you're in that place where you are a part of a networking group, and I'm going to cover all that. So here's where we are going to really dive in right now to posting. Okay. So remember when I told you that everything that I said comes from a warm place of love. We're doing a warm, mushy, gushy virtual hug right now. Okay. So just work with me. Okay. Okay. So we have to post in a way that draws people in. Okay. Am I asking you to live your life for likes? No. Am I asking you to live your life to have a perfect curated experience for the people, for potentials? No. But what I am asking you to do is evaluate if the posts that you are posting specifically about your social selling brand, if they are drawing someone in, and how we could do that in a way that brands us, okay, in the same way. So the first piece of this is that aesthetic. Aesthetic is this visually pleasing? Is this pretty? Does this make sense to my eye? There are a lot of like vintage, historically, popular Plexus posts. I'm going to tell you, there are these graphics that have been around forever. They're kind of like, oh, these are big. This is an old font. You can tell it's kind of, pixelated. People shared it a couple times, a million times. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're grown-ups. We're doing something different. So if you like something that looks overshared or could be modernized, there are so many, illustrator or graphic creators, apps, right? So there's something like Word Swag or Pic Collage. Okay. But better than that, I know we have a pen and paper. There are groups that are offered by Plexus ambassadors that you can go into and find extremely aesthetically pleasing pictures. Okay, the first one is called One Plexus Graphics. Okay, and then the second one is called One Plexus Instagram Stories. These are the names of the groups. Write them down. Okay, very important, because here is what we know. People buy on what they see. Okay. You know your network. I'm not asking you to be something you're not. I'm not asking you to show up as a Kardashian in a Susan Sarandon network. Okay. I'm not doing that. Okay. What I am asking you to do is I'm asking you to evaluate, is this a lazy, sloppy way for me to slap something up, check a box, when this is not the person that I want to show up as in my business? Okay. Only you know that. So check yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, because you're not hurting me by not posting in a certain way. You're hurting your business. You're not drawing in people the way you want to. So I want you to start thinking about how you personified can be in some of these posts to draw people in. So the aesthetic is the first thing. We're not using crap graphics anymore. Okay, next. All right, then we're going to talk about storytelling. So I want to talk to you about posting and talk to you about storytelling. So here's who I want you to post to. I want you to have a dialogue in your posts. I want you to speak specifically to a certain person. Do you know who that is? I want you to talk to the you before you order that pink drink. What does she need to hear? Does she need to hear that she's worth it? Does she need to hear that it feels easier to, go to the gas station and pick up that BS? But what she really needs to do is stop eating food that hurts her stomach. Talk to her. Here's what we think about posting. We worry that if we don't cast a wide net, we're going to lose people. But here's what the thing is that if you're diluting your message because you're trying to be liked by everyone, you're going to reach way less people and potentially no one. Okay. You have to speak to the person that you know the very best. And that is you before you got on these products. And someone may in your network, they may not share your same story, but you might be thinking about this. I'm looking at Sunshine. She might be thinking, I don't want to talk to just PCOS people. Like I got so many people to help. No, you're absolutely right. You do have so many people to help. And the way that you're going to do that is you're going to tell a story about the way you felt. We don't have to talk about specific diagnoses. We don't have to do that all the time. What we have to do is talk about not feeling like there's an option, right? Feeling discouraged, being sad or crying when we look in the mirror, being depressed. People feel this, right? People understand. You can have any different issue going on and understand feeling down, understand not having financial options. So I want you to start to think about storytelling to the person who you needed, right? The person you needed right before you started these products, before your person said anything, right? Because you're probably, you're thinking like, my person showed up and, I feel good. She offered this to me. Absolutely. But the day before that happened, who are you? And I want you to talk to her. So storytelling is really critical because here's the thing. I can tell my story with feelings and a lot of people are going to understand that rawness and that reality. Okay. And I think, again, I know for me, I was very nervous to cast a super specific net or to not appeal to everybody, but it went back to my people pleasing. It went back to being liked and being checked in every box and being fitting in every box, but I don't, neither do you. And that's okay. And the quicker that you can figure out who you're talking to, the quicker that your people who need you are going to find you. But sometimes we cast such a wide net that we're lost at sea and the people who really need us are like, can't find us. And so I want you to really think about that. Okay, so here's the next thing we're going to do to really hone in on how we're going to curate the social media experience. Okay, is that if you think about what you're doing on your social right now, you're probably doing like, a good handful of things on a regular basis, right? One of them is probably Plexus. One of them might be your husband or your children, your family. You might be a dog lover. You might have new kittens. There are probably 4 to 5 things that are really important to you. You might love your gym. You always post about your gym. You're always proud about that experience. But here's what I want you to do. And tonight, this is going to be part of the homework as well, but figuring out 4 to 5 areas that you feel really positive about as you're rotating posts. And so here's what it's going to do. Okay. As you have 4 to 5 areas, like maybe one of them's recipes. Okay. One of them's, like motivational stuff. One of them is your faith. One of them is Plexus. Okay, let's say it's those 4 things. If you start to get really intentional about rotating those pillars, okay, and it's okay if you like deviate every now and then. I'm, again, not your boss, not telling you what to do, but just try it. Try it for 4 weeks. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when you double down on these areas that you feel really strong about. And here's what I've noticed that has happened. I get more engagement when I am a specific type of sharer and I feel like it feels good to me, right? Like I'm not asking you to depart from who you are. I'm not all of a sudden asking you to become somebody who bakes. If you burn everything, we're not doing that. We're not being someone else. But let's say you kill it in like baking. You're like winning awards and weird stuff and you're sending your recipes. Maybe that's you. Let's give them more of that. Let's double down on it. Let's give them more of it. So all of a sudden they're getting more of you, 100 proof of you, 4 to 5 areas that are really strong and important for you. Okay. And what I've noticed is that I get lots of engagement at that time. You guys might have noticed that I motivate, right? I do thought coaching. I get tons of people expect it from me, right? So they're going to start to expect things from you. I have just curated the experience over time, and it was on accident. And I realized I was doing this, right? I want you to do the same thing. So again, back to the aesthetic, we're using photos that are clear, and we're using current branding. We have new branding. Let's use it. And we're using photos that are clear. And here's what I want to say. If you've got a foggy camera, if you cannot afford a new camera, if you're like, this is not something I want to prioritize right now, it's right before Christmas, someone that you know has a clear camera, or you can use, and you invite them over and you take a bunch of selfies. I know that this sounds crazy, but it will make all the difference. You will be more confident when you share. You will feel proud. Okay. And you will be like, I took the time on a Saturday to invite my sister over. She's got the best camera ever. We knocked out 30 photos. I changed my outfits. Don't even get me started. I was feeling like a queen. I'm telling you right now, if you don't have a camera that works, we will find you a camera. It's going to be okay, but do it. Now, when you are speaking to that person, who was you, right? That person that you're wanting to buy from you. What I want you to remember is to weave in some of the objections that you had. It's going to do a lot of things for you. First of all, it's going to feel cathartic because you're going to be like, wow, I was kind of a dummy, right? Right. You're thinking it like, God, I waited, or, oh, I was so worried about this, or whatever. It's going to be a little cathartic. And then also it's going to come from a place of relatability. People are going to relate to you because you are sharing your story. And you guys, if you don't feel like you know how to share those stories, we have a couple options. One, I'm personally happy to walk you through anything. First of all, I think that you guys do great. Like, so there is no criticism there. If you feel like it needs to get a little bit better, we have a girl that is a Sapphire ambassador on the Darby team. She is offering kind of a copywriting class. It's very inexpensive. I don't know when it started. I think Molly is on this, so she can share a little bit later in our thread about it if you're interested. Run it by me, run it by, a trusted upline, anybody can kind of walk you through this, but it is a craft, but it starts with just your voice. So you don't have to be some kind of an expert to tell your story, because your story is yours and you don't need to worry about anything other than just, communicating your heart. Okay. So that's about posting. Okay. So I hope that you have felt like kind of some ideas, and we can, that thread, I want it to be a living, breathing group where you feel like you can come in and communicate. Okay. That is a private group. Confidential is the wrong word, because I don't think that anybody would share anything like maliciously, but just feel that that is a safe zone where you can be like, getting in the weeds a little bit with your experience, and we can help you if you feel comfortable doing that. So the next thing is how to conduct yourself in person. Okay. So here is what I've noticed is that even the most confident across the board, communicating virtually, communicating on social platforms, even the most confident of those human beings can stumble in person. And do you know who else stumbles in person? Because all of a sudden it's like, all you want people to do is ask. And all of a sudden they ask, and like every, cell in your body clenches up, and you're like starting to sweat a little bit. You're like, it happened. Oh my God, what do I do? Okay. So I've been there and I understand. So what you need to understand is that when someone is communicating with you in person, and when you're doing this in person, we need to abandon the idea that you need to know all of the ingredients, all of the product features. That's not what we're doing. Okay. That's over. So if that's something that you've done before, it's done. It's a thing of the past. We're not doing it anymore. Sadly, what happens in a lot of instances, and specifically when we are in person, is that we are worried about our part. We are worried about our part. We are sweating. We are nervous. We're worried about what's going to come out of our mouth. We are believing that we're going to say something wrong. We want to say something right. We want them to love us. We want them to love Plexus. That's the reality of the situation. So it is a very human thing to do, to think of yourself first, and you're not doing it out of selfishness. Your experience is first, and you're like, so we have to take this amazing and proper opportunity to ask questions of the people in person and give them, all we have to do is give generic information and talk about our own experience. So here is what I'm going to give you. This is big. So if you're not writing anything down, what I want you to write down is this: the feel, felt, found method. Okay. It is the dark horse. It is not used enough. And a lot of times what happens is we forget to do it when we get our opportunity, because we're like, oh my God, it's happening. Okay. So let's say, here's an example when someone is in person. And I want to reiterate that your role is to ask questions and not to give information or your story. Okay. Just hear me out when I tell you that. We are going to appeal and relate. We are not going to take over the conversation. So let's say that somebody is like, oh my gosh, like I'm so bloated. Like, I just ate a Casey's pizza. I'm so bloated, or whatever. Okay. And you're like, oh girl, well, guess what? I know exactly how you feel, because I felt that way for 20 years of my life. And do you know what I figured out? I figured out that your gut bacteria can get off track, and it's like fat. If you get it like in balance, all those symptoms go away. Has anyone ever told you about Plexus? Very easy, right? You didn't have to give any information about the company other than your experience. Okay. And then what happens, and I'm going to give you a script. And like I said, I have this all written down. So if you like this script, I can give it to you. All you had to do was relate to them and share something that you discovered, right? Okay. So let's say somebody is exhausted. Oh, well, I know exactly how you feel. And I felt that way forever. And I was addicted to coffee, and it was gross. But you know what I found? It was my blood sugar. Has anyone ever told you about Plexus? It is relatable. It's easy. It feels too easy, right? You're like, well, that's too easy. They're going to feel like they're talking to an old friend versus a seller. And oh my goodness, aren't we so demonized to sell? Oh, it's gross. Okay. Don't even get me started. But I know that it has a common feeling. And this is a way for you to totally sidestep that entire feeling and just help them feel normal. Help them feel normal, right? Don't you like when you feel normal? Don't you like when someone's like, oh, I've never been bloated in my whole life. Oh, it sucks to be you. Yeah, right. Okay, everyone has. Hi, it's called a period. Okay, so just relate to them. That's what it's about. Okay, and then when you ask them, has anyone ever told you about Plexus? Has anyone ever talked to you about your blood sugar? No. Oh gosh, well, you know what? I've really found that it's been helpful for me. Are you like open to hearing a little bit more about it? That's it. Okay. If this feels like you're not equipped with this conversation, like to take this conversation deeper, I want you to say, you know what? I'm learning. So if it is cool with you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a couple stories that I can share with you. We have a product community, and I'm going to find a story that I feel like is going to really relate to you. But first, let me just ask you a few more questions. You on any medications? Do you have any diagnosis? The things that you would do in a message. But you're asking the questions, not giving, asking, receiving. You talk very little. They're talking. They're giving you info. Okay. And at that point, when they're freely giving you information, like I said, you're asking them to get into, can I share some information with you in our product community? You know what? Everything you said, I think you'd love to visit our Thursday night testimony event. It's super inspiring. I feel like that would be a really fun event for you. Could I just add you in there and tag you in that when it starts on Thursday? Right? Can I connect you with my friend Sadie, who's like dealt with thyroid issues as well? Because, yeah, I know that you're kind of feeling low energy, but we have so many, positive stories about people with thyroid issues just like you. Could I do that? You're not giving info. You don't need to know anything. Do you see this? A limiting belief is that I'm not an expert. I don't know enough. Okay. But the truth of the matter is you're not focusing on the person. You're focusing on your part. The person's experience is the most important thing. So here's a script I'm going to read. So okay, they're saying this, right? I have just been struggling with blank and it's stopping me from blank. Okay. Maybe they're venting to your church, you're at the mall, whatever. Do people go to the mall? I don't know. Okay. So you are already in a conversation with them, or you're overhearing this, right? You're overhearing it, or, they're like, oh, like, I cannot wake up in the morning. Like, I'm miserable, whatever. And this is what you say. I totally know how you feel, because for years I felt that way also. And I struggled with blank. I'm not asking you to give a fake thing here. Make it work for you. Okay. We don't have to be fake, because we all have a positive story. So you get to add your spin to this. I also struggled with blank as well. What I found was that blank and blank are connected to those issues. I had no idea. Has anyone ever talked to you about blank and blank? Or has anyone ever talked to you about plexus? That's the script, right? That can be on the phone, right? Who knows if you're on the phone? Do people talk on the phone anymore? I don't even know the societal things anymore. But so this really goes back to the next part, that open-ended questions are the key to removing your responsibility for being a genius or a product person. And a lot of times people have told me the feedback is, I don't know enough. I don't know enough. I don't know enough. I don't know enough. Okay. But the point of the matter is, I don't care what you know. We need to know what's going on with them. That's the point, is that what trips us up is that our part is so loud. What we feel like we're missing is so loud that we don't even get a chance to serve. And that's the problem, is that this is a servant opportunity. So open-ended questions literally bridge you from the problem to the solution. Okay. So curiosity is the way to sell to their needs perfectly. If you ask them a bunch of questions, you're going to know exactly what to offer them, because you're going to ask them, how's your energy? We have these lists of questions. I don't need to go into that. Okay. So the taking these methods into a three-way message with your sponsor or trusted person is always something as well, if you feel like that is needed, okay, for the person. And I want to take away the stigma of doing that. I've heard so many people say, I don't feel like I should need that. Okay, so here is what we're going to talk about with that. I believe that you're judging yourself for using a method that would quote unquote help you, but it is actually the method that we ask people to use for the first 30 days so that they can teach it. It is a duplication principle. Okay, so as a leader, if you are willing to do it for 30 days, if you're willing to still use it, then you can ask people to do it. But if you're not using three-way messages ever, and you're trying to get people to use it, it feels a little less relatable. It feels a little less authentic. So understanding that third-party validation, you guys, I have been on welcome calls or three-way messages where I was added to it and I said one open-ended question like, are you ready to get started? Yes. It's bizarre. Okay, there's no rhyme or reason. Maybe somebody in the group, we need to Google why third-party validation is a thing. Okay, making that mean something about you is really going to get you into trouble. So try not to make that mean anything. That's what our community is for. Something that's very different about this business model is our community, and let's leverage it. Okay. This is the formula for a three-way message to close people quickly. Okay. Open the conversation, right? Hi, Molly says, hi, friend. This is my friend, Sadie. I was telling her that you have low energy. Could you tell us a little bit more about your health goals? They answer. I ask a question. They answer. I ask another clarifying question. They answer. I recommend products. And then I say, how does this look? I've given them a graphic. I've given them a triplex video. That's all I say, right? How does this look? And they were like, oh, that looks great. Great. Would you like me to sign you up or send you instructions? It's very fast. They're talking themselves into it. You have to know very little in this. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that you don't grow. I'm not suggesting that you don't learn. I'm not suggesting any of these things, but I want to take the pressure off of you when you are prospecting, when you are posting, that you have to be this receptacle of knowledge. You have to be a receptacle of open-ended questions to connect people to these products. That's your job, connection. Okay. So in our current contacts, I know we spent a long time on those in person, right? And how to talk to people. We're moving quickly into current contacts. These are people that you know. These are your besties. These are people you're in a text relationship with. These are people that you might email. Do you email? I don't know. Some people do. Okay. So the way that it would work is that you would reach out very genuinely. So here's what I want you to understand about why we are demonized in this industry. Because people think we take all of what we offer and we just throw it on the wall and see who it's going to stick for. Okay. So that is a misunderstanding about our industry, because I think that everyone on this screen is very authentic, very relational, and doesn't want to be perceived that way. So here's how we can circumvent being perceived that way. We make a list. We create this list of people that we know, right? Even if these are online connections, a lot of them, especially if you're a mom of young kids, like maybe your whole world is online, like, so doesn't necessarily have to be all these, 20 to 30 group of people that, you're hanging out with 24/7. Don't even know anyone who does that, but some people do, so, but let's say that it's just someone that you feel like you've got a relationship with and they struggle with something. When I say that we're sending cold messages, I want this to be a person that you know. I never want you to just throw like stuff at the wall. Am I going to say that that hasn't been successful for some people? I think it has. I have never done it. Any cold message that I've done came from a place of authenticity and knowledge about the person's situation or curiosity about their situation. Hey, friend, I saw you were really struggling earlier, and I want to tell you that if anyone understands that, it's me. Are you doing okay? Because first and foremost, I want to make sure that you're okay, but I want to tell you that I relate so well to what you're saying, and I want to offer you something that can help if you feel like you need a crutch to the next, the next step for you. And I don't ever want you to feel like you can't talk to me about what's going on. You guys, depression is a hard thing to talk to people about. Anxiety is a hard thing to talk to people about. Guess who can talk to people about it? People who've walked it. Okay. So if you've walked it, I want you to make it your mission to reach out and open those conversations. What we're doing here is pushing ourselves to the next level. What have we not been doing in our business? That's what we're doing in this 4-week program. Okay. So with these current contacts, I want you to reach out in a very specific and intentional way. Diabetes, pregnancy, well, you guys know. Okay. The health issue, I want that to be the forefront. And I want you to reach out in a way that they understand your heart. Obviously, we can't control how they perceive us, right? Sick people are angry too. I want to throw that out there, sometimes that they're angry, but you offering to help is something that I feel like is a very arrows out method. We're here to serve. We're here to heal, help heal, right? And so it can look something like this. Hey, Brenda, listen, I've hesitated to reach out to you because I didn't really know how to bring it up, but I saw you saying the other day that, you really were struggling with your diabetes. You had tons of sugar cravings, you weren't sleeping. And I just feel it's my duty to ask you, like, has anyone ever talked to you about Plexus? Okay. How easy was that? and it came from the heart. You know, this step takes intentionality for you to understand who's surrounding you, right? So it's either the model of being in person that we talked about prior, or it's this reach out method of really trying to think about people who, you know, around you that are struggling. No's are free. I say it all the time. And I know we make them mean that we're suck or something, but the truth of the matter is that no just means that they are not prepared to accept what you're offering right now. And it does not have anything to do with you. Think about the last time you said no, right? The last time you said no, was it because that person, you thought that they were like a creep? No, it just didn't align with something, right? It wasn't right for your finances. You weren't sick enough, or, you weren't ready for it. It's like selling, snow removal in July. Sometimes they're not going to be ready. There are going to be those proactive folks that are like, yes, I'm signing up for this now. I'm going to be waiting for you. But a lot of times we have to wait for their need to intersect with what we offer. But opening the door is key. And so really urging you not to make any of that mean anything about you. Okay. And so networking groups, is anyone, raise your hand. Are you in networking groups? Anyone? Ish? Okay. Amy, I think she did her little thumb. So networking groups are amazing. This can also look something like a book club, right? A bunco, things like that. Like you're thrust into all these people, and all you're thinking is all these people need the triplets. Like that's what you're thinking when you get into this thing. Okay. But you have to know, Tammy, you have to know, first of all, a true networking group is going to ask you what you do. And you're going to need an elevator speech. So we're going to cover what your elevator speech is. That's going to be where we close. But when you get into these groups that are more social focused, I want you to connect. I want you to add them on social media. I want you to connect with them. I want you to let them see you first. Unless they say, girl, I've been hearing you selling plexus. Okay. Like I need some help. Okay. That's different. Let it go. Like, let it rip. Okay. But if this is new connections, okay, I want you to just do that. Just connect, just be in that moment with them, right? Connect with them on social, and then adding them to your prospect list, and just letting that relationship develop. Okay. So let's say it's a true networking group. It's some of these are called BNI, they're chamber groups, things like that. If you're ever in that type of situation, or if you ever get onto an elevator, or someone says, what's your hat mean? Right? I had this hat on today and someone asked me what it meant. I was like, I didn't know what to say. It was weird. But I mean, I explained it. But that elevator speech is something that will take a little bit to curate. So I'm not going to create it for you. I'm going to give you some ideas on what your elevator speech is. Okay. But sometimes people's elevator speech is, oh, have you ever heard of plexus? No. Well, yeah, I help people poop. Okay. What do you do? Oh, you know what? I help mommies become happy mommies. Things like that. It doesn't have to be that flip. Okay. It doesn't have to be that light, but something that feels really natural to you. I help retired teachers, right? Things like that, I want you to be thoughtful about it. I want your elevator speech will change. Right now, my elevator speech today is different than it was when I started. My elevator speech when I started was probably like, I help people who are autoimmune have hope, right? That was probably what mine would have been at the very beginning, but I've transitioned to, I help women see how limitless they are. Okay. So I want you to really think about it, because when you have that intact, you're going to pop it off. You're going to have a time to do it, and you're going to pop it off. It's going to feel so good. You're going to come back into the group and be like, guess what? I did my elevator speech, and, I help people feel, I help give people hope. You want to tie it a little bit back to the company, and we can work on these. This can be kind of a sidebar homework. This wasn't included in your homework, but I think it's a thoughtful component that will help build confidence. Because the worst part is when somebody catches you off guard and you're like, I don't know what I do, but I do it a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, that's what you want to come to get mentored. No, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's a feeling we have, and we need to find a way to communicate it, something that is passionate for you, right? So that is kind of a sidebar. So we're going to dive into our homework, and this is going to be, I'm really excited about this. So, all right. So in the next 7 days, all right, we are going to have you, and maybe you're going to listen to this. So here's the thing. If you do more than the homework, that's okay. But this is like bare minimum stuff. Okay. So I want you in the next 7 days to post 3 to 5 times using the methods that I described. And yes, your stories can count. Okay. Your stories can count. Now, you know, maybe you are going to challenge yourself to do the 3 to 5 in a wall post. And then in the stories, I'm going to let you own your business. Okay. But I want it to be a stretch for you. So if you're already posting every single day, I want you to up the ante in some way. Again, remember, I am not your boss. I am here to push you because you want more. All right. So I want you to start 2 to 3 in-person conversations in the next 7 days. Maybe they'll start it even better. Maybe they'll start it. They'll be like, oh, I cannot. Oh my God, I have so many cramps. You're like, ding. You're going to be so excited. Okay. Because you're going to be prepared. All right. So the next is reach out to 2 current contacts a day using the method described. And when I say that, what I mean is invite to the wellness community. Remembering that invite step is so critical in prospecting, right? You know, inviting them to, get into the wellness community, read about a story, talk to your upline, watch a video, that kind of a thing. I don't want, if you can quickly go to the close, like, don't pump the brakes. It's okay. Like, if they're like, well, I'd love to see a story, but I'm ready to order. Yeah. Okay. Order. Yes. 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 This is what we're doing. Okay. So it's 2 contacts a day using that method. Okay. And then I want you to connect 1 person per day to the products using the it's not about me method. And I want to talk about the it's not about me. I want our mantra for the next 7 days to be, it's not about me. If you need to put it on a Post-it, if you're somebody that overthinks, I'm talking to you. Do I think you're a selfish butt? No, I do not. I do not think you're a selfish butthole who's like self-focused. What I do think you are is you have some anxiety around how people perceive you. Okay. That's what's happening. Okay. So we have to really like tattoo onto our forehead with a non-permanent marker that it's not about me. Okay. It's not about me. Do you know how many times I say that to myself? All the time. Because a lot of times it's so easy to inject ourselves into it. Like, oh, this person's making me feel a certain kind of way. It's not about me. Okay. You know what I mean? Like it's those things. I want you to just get really clear on that. So when I say connect 1 person to the products using it's not about me, I want you to go to a difficult person, somebody who's ghosted you or come off of the products, right? If it's not about us, we're going to dive back into that conversation and we're going to serve. They might tell you to, go fly a kite. They might not answer you. But what that practice does is it lets you lead with service first, lead with how to help first, dive into something difficult that you may have shied away from because your feelers were hurt. Okay. If anyone gets kind of hurt feelers over some things, it's me. Like if people don't answer, I'm like, ugh. Right? So I want you to practice that feeling of sitting in the hard stuff, right? And just being like, you know what? We're just going to dive in. We're just going to try one more time, right? And let them feel that it's not about me angle, right? Hey, I know that you haven't answered a couple times, right? But I'd really be remiss. I see you kind of struggling. And I just want to make sure that I'm showing up and being that healthy living advisor for you. You know, if you don't want me to follow up anymore, that's totally okay, but I'm here for you. I believe in you. Even if you're not ready, like I believe in you and I just want to offer this to you today. Okay. Okay. I'm going to stop recording.